Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com and on iHeartRadio. Alongside Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, it has been a big week in sports this week, from crowning champions to upcoming drafts for NBA and NFL. There's so much to talk about right now on the show. Before we begin, we'd like to congratulate our winner of the Arkansas Travelers Family 4-Pack from last week, Miss Kathy. Congratulations to you out in Hot Springs Village, cheering on the Travs, the greatest show on turf. And of course, Arkansas Travelers baseball back underway, and it has been so much fun to watch here in the early go this season.
Well, and having Lance on this last Saturday, you know, he spoke about all the upcoming events, but goodness gracious, they're stacked and right. Lance seems to bring on more and more and more of diversification. I guess that's the word we want to use, because there's so many different things not pertaining to baseball, but still having family fun. And he does a great job at it. You know, it's unbelievable. And yes, Kathy, thank you so much. And those tickets are behind the Travs dugout, so not too bad. It's always fun over there, you know, along with the fireworks. And of course, like you said, they had some good games this week so far, and they'll continue today and tomorrow. And hope that hitting like they've done all week is keeping it up, because they are blasting the ball, Mark. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, and I want to give a special thank you to the Sentinel Record as well. They put out a pretty cool article on me Wednesday morning. I have to say thanks once again, celebrating my 500th broadcast for National Park College. Really cool things, of course. I really enjoy doing it. They make my job easy. The student athletes do. Just a lot of things to get excited for sure.
Yeah, but Mark, here, let's go in this a little bit deeper. 500 and counting there. That's not counting basketball. That's not counting football. I'm going to put you on the spot right here. You enjoy a lot of stuff, but and baseball is your gig. I know baseball is your gig, but what's that one game or maybe one tournament? Because I've got one in mind that I can think of, but of the ones that you've called, which one comes to mind as the one that's always right there on the back of the brain?
The one for National Park College, or for in general?
Just in general. I've got one that I think is part of it.
Well, you know, from NPC, of course, you know, obviously I've gotten a lot of media attention over the past week or so with the big milestone. And a lot of people have asked me, you know, what are some of your favorite broadcasts that you've done all time? And, you know, the one that really sticks out to me, and I hate to say it's this one because it's so recent, but, you know, one of the biggest games that I've ever called for the Nighthawks, it has to be this last women's basketball game. The last home game of the season was the Central District Championship, and NPC got it in its own building, one win away from nationals, and they won in dominant fashion, took down Jefferson College, cut down their nets at the end of the day. I was able to get in and get a piece of the net for myself as well. And, you know, anybody that goes in and watches any of my broadcasts or goes and finds the clips and I'm yelling and then screaming, I'm excited and everything. That's a call that really stands out to me, because it was just, for me, it was so emotional, right? Like, I don't think that I cried, but I was on the verge of crying there just because of how happy I was for the story. Yeah. But that's one that is probably going to go down as maybe my favorite. And I've called a bunch for the Nighthawks. I've called a bunch. You know, I put a video out on social media last week that kind of highlighted some of my favorites. Some of those include, you know, every once in a while, you know, I'm very data analytic driven. So, you know, I'll try to maybe predict things before they happen. There was a time a few years ago where we had a really hot hitter come to the plate for NPC baseball, Cameron Tyson. And I just made a comment, you know, hey, how cool would it be if he walked it off right now? NPC was down against one of the top teams from Oklahoma. And immediately the next pitch, he blasts a 3-run walk-off home run. So I looked like an all-star that day, predicting the future a bit. Another game that stands out to me, I've called a perfect game for Nighthawks softball of opening day last year. Bailey Cowell threw a perfect game on the very first day of the season, and I was there for that. And then one more that really stands out to me is a couple of years ago, I was doing softball regional tournament in Ardmore, Oklahoma for NJCAA Region 2. We had a lot of bad weather, tornado warnings, severe weather through delayed a lot of things. And one of the rules that we had was that the games the first pitch of the game had to be before midnight to count. So I remember NPC was taking on Carl Albert State College out of Poto, Oklahoma. And we had first pitch at like 11:50 at night, and NPC walked it off in the bottom of the seventh inning on a defensive error by the Vikings at 2:20 a.m. So I'll never forget the latest I've ever called a ball game, 2:20 a.m. when the Nighthawks walked it off, and of course everybody was super excited. And I had to turn around, go back to the hotel, and be back at the ballpark literally at 7 a.m. So just a few hours later for another full slate of games again. So I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. But that's a game that's always going to stand out to me. Carly Morales, walk-off winner for NPC.
Yeah, and I remember that softball action over in Oklahoma where y'all had to travel like 400 miles in one day or 500 miles.
For the championship game. But like I said, it was in the middle of tornado season, had severe weather. It washed out the field in Ardmore. So we were scheduled to play the championship game, NPC and Murray State College in the title game. So we couldn't play in Ardmore. We drove down into Texas trying to go to another college or university. Their field was also under. So then we had to turn around and drive north of Oklahoma City. I think it was Edmond, Oklahoma. And that's where we finished the night. But we drove hours trying to find a place to play, and we ended up having the championship game at the beautiful campus there in Edmond. NPC falls in the title game there, but it was still a really memorable performance, and I'll never forget that game because Nighthawks softball, they're different than the other teams at NDC. They just bring this level of energy that's unmatched with the other program. They're a really funny bunch, and they like funny hats and props, all sorts of things. I remember they made me wear this hat during that championship game when I was calling it. It was a giant crab. No, it was a lobster. It was a lobster. I did the whole championship game broadcast wearing a hat of a lobster. And maybe it wasn't enough good luck. It didn't get us the win over the top team, but that's another moment. Yeah, there's so many moments. 500 games, you've seen some things.
Yep, no doubt about it. And I've enjoyed some years with you calling across from me, of course, with football and such, and having fun.
A lot of great Fountain Lake ones as well. You said you had one in mind.
Well, of course, it was the one where you won the Sully. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, but your rate of enthusiasm is underrated, I should say, because everybody knows when you get excited, you better back away from the radio. It's just that simple.
Well, John Chapman, our friend, knows. I think 9 years in, he's really tried to figure out. Okay, I think Mark's about to get excited, and he'll turn that knob down real low so we don't blow out the listeners on the broadcast for Fountain Lake. But maybe I should going forward as we go ahead to year 17 this fall. Maybe I should say, John, get ready.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't know it by now, I don't know what else, because I know when to take my headsets off. That's for certain, especially when you yell about that touchdown coming up.
That's right. No
doubt about it. And but yeah, some exciting calls through the years, and of course, listening to you and watching you too as you work through. And this is so important that I think as an aspect and a father and working through all the circumstances that you've had to deal with, and of course raising kids too at the same time.
That's right.
And you did the same thing as me. You told them with you. They go with you. They learn. They watch Dad, and it's just one of those lifelong positions that you not only have to endure, but you enjoy. And it's something that you're teaching your kids. Just bottom line, this is what Dad does, and I know how your other half puts up with the time, of you being gone a lot and such. And so, for so many hours on the mic, it's quadruple on the road, and people don't see that in the back end. I know we've logged some miles, and you've logged a whole lot of miles. You just got to go to the other side of the world.
I was just
a couple of weeks ago.
Just in North Carolina a couple of years ago. I was in Danville, Illinois for the men's basketball final, and And, I've, like I said, been in Ardmore, Oklahoma to do some regional games.
Men's basketball, year before last.
That's right. That's right. So, all over the place. And I really enjoy it too. And of course, I was a former player. My college career got cut a lot shorter than I hoped that it would. I had dreams of playing pro ball, pretty much just like anybody else who puts on the uniform. But, I was really thankful to meet a couple of really significant mentors in college that steered me in this direction. Because I was, I was a freshman in college. My playing days had come to an end. And I was like, what now? Because I wasn't necessarily tuned in to I'm here. I was at UCA at the time. And I didn't necessarily know what degree plan I wanted to follow. I just knew I wanted to play baseball. And a lot of student athletes are like that. They just want to go play ball. They'll figure the rest out later, right? So I had to make an abrupt change and figure out, okay, well, I'm not a player anymore, so I need to figure out what I'm going to do with my life.
Right.
And my roommate at the time, his name's Jason. He worked down at the campus radio station, and he's like, "Hey, man, why don't you?" He was just trying to pick me up. I was really down in the dumps about it. He's like, "Come on down. Let's see if there's something down there for you, something fun to do. Let's have some fun." And that's when I met Monty Rowell and Steve Owens, and they steered me into the sports media side of things, and called my very first broadcast in March of 2008. I had the opportunity to tag along with Steve Owens and do color commentary for for UCA baseball down in Huntsville, Texas, at Sam Houston State University. One game, I was hooked. That's all it took. One game, I was hooked, and the rest is history. The rest is history. I've called games for all sorts of things. Of course, a lot of University of Central Arkansas, a lot of high schools around Arkansas. I've done Valonia, Benton, Bryant, Mountain Pine, Fountain Lake, Lake Hamilton. I've done a lot of tournaments. I had the opportunity to do the high school softball state championships one year in Fayetteville, so I got to call games from Bogle Park. I've done games for EPN. Just all sorts of things. I don't know. I didn't keep track whenever I was beginning my journey, so I don't know how many total games I've done, but I know it's a little bit over 500 now for the Nighthawks. We're closing in on 200 for Fountain Lake. Overall, I'm probably close to 1,000 overall.
Okay. And of course, this is, I'm going to be honest with you, and don't listen to him. He's young. He's young at heart, no pun intended there. But he's got many, many more years to go. I can vouch for that one, because I'm not going to let him stop at any time soon. There's no way.
I wouldn't want to. I think I enjoy calling games more than I ever enjoyed playing games. I never thought I would say that.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, you found your calling, no pun intended there also. And I think I think there's still a little bit more than you are going to anticipate. I'm just telling you right now.
I hope so.
I'm just telling you, something good's to happen to people that are good, and you're a good guy too. And just many thanks for all the years that I've been with you so far. And I know this for a fact. I wouldn't do it with anybody else. That's for certain. I don't think anybody else has the chemistry that you when it comes to calling games.
That's been a lot of fun,
because we've had some different times, some different places,
possibly,
and
possibly
we can't all talk about on the radio.
Well, we got to write the book.
But and one last one before we get out of here. One last, of all the interviews you've done in calling games and such like that, what coach comes to mind? What coach comes to mind that you're like, what in the world? Is there one coach, whether it was baseball, softball, football, or basketball or whatever? You've done so many interviews on that too. Is there one that just comes to mind that's always just right there going, what, did he just really say that? Or whatever.
I mean, the one that comes to mind is Tracy Simpson.
Okay.
The one that comes to mind is no. From a coaching standpoint, I can't think of anything. I can think of a lot of good interviews that I've had.
Right.
A lot of guys, a lot of girls that I believe were more than just coaches.
Right.
They were great life moving student athletes in the right direction. Those that come to mind are your Tommy Gillerans of the world, the Plumleys of the world, your Matt Richardsons of the world.
That's a most recent,
I say this all the time, and I will continue to say this. If Coach Richardson ever hangs it up and becomes a motivational speaker, I'm going to buy that cassette tape or that tape. I'm going to buy that CD.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that podcast. How old am I? I would listen to that. I would listen to Matt Richardson say nice things and pump me up every day just to get me ready each day when I get out of bed. I've interviewed some legends as well. Probably one that really sticks out to me is I had the opportunity to interview Corliss Williamson. He was the head men's basketball coach of UCA for a little bit, actually.
For a little bit, he sure did. You're right.
Yeah. And I actually ran into him in a restaurant. I interviewed him after a game that I announced for them. But I would constantly run into Coach Williamson at a restaurant when I was living in Conway, and we would chat it up all the time, and we became friends. And I had to shake off being starstruck a little bit there, but some of those guys that have done amazing things at the next level, legendary things. There's some of them whenever they take off the coaching hat and they just put on the human being hat. Some of just the most wise, insightful people that you'll ever meet.
Well, congratulations, and many, many more to come. I'm sure of that, and I can't wait to hear the next one from you, brother. Appreciate it so much, man. We got a lot going on still in this show, huh?
That's right. We got to talk. You owe me some orange juice, Tracy,
and you got to go look in the refrigerator.
No way.
Everybody reminded me of it. Wait till you see the text I got coming in. Everybody reminded me of it after the game was over. I'm just telling you. We'll talk about that.
All those people are like, what is he talking about? We'll tell you more in just a second. It's Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE.
Second quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver, and this is the best orange juice that I've ever tasted. Tracy Simpson, I was right. You were wrong. I'll be honest. I'm even surprised that I'm right. I picked the past two. And to give you credit, you did last year as well with Florida, but picking the past two champions in a row, literally after the Michigan-UConn game, my wife came to me and said, why do you not do sports betting? Because we could be rich now because of you. And all I could do was apologize and said, I don't know. I guess I'm just not that. I'm a little bit too protective of my money.
Frugal.
I'm very frugal. I'm absolutely frugal. But Michigan put an exclamation point on a historic season in Monday's national championship final. They defeated UConn 69-63. Wolverines guard Elliot Cadeau was named most outstanding player after finishing with 19 points. It brings his story full circle when back in November, he called his Wolverine squad, quote, the best team ever assembled. That came after a 40-point win over Gonzaga the day before Thanksgiving. And it put a target on Michigan's back all season. But Monday night, Cadeau and the Wolverines proved that they were right. It's their first national championship since 1989 and became the first team to beat UConn in the Sweet 16 or later since Michigan State beat them in the Final Four in 2009. This is a Wolverines squad that made waves all season, but it's a team that got hotter once it entered the dance. The first team to score 90 or more points in 5 straight games in a single tournament, and their strengths, they relied on them all season long. Their size, their length, and really more size made the difference in Monday night's win against a talented UConn squad that earned the right to play after knocking off Duke in a game that many will remember for years to come.
And Mark, you know what? That was I don't really have an adjective or a verb. It was a different kind of game. I'm just going to leave it at that. A very different kind of game. A lot of folks around the region knew that defenses would show up. They thought the offense was Michigan, and particularly what you were talking about, the MVP getting those 2 early fouls right away, and then him not even playing the latter part of the first half at all. And so Michigan had to switch gears. But, and I hate you were talking about gambling a while ago, but Vegas was spot on with this one. It dropped to a 7-point dog, and they win by 6. And the under with, like I said, goodness gracious, 69-63 when they're averaging 85. So defense, and you said this last week, I'll remember it. And I've said it a bunch of times, but I remember just saying it 3 or 4 times last week. Defense wins championships. And that's what it boiled down to, because Michigan couldn't hit a bucket unless they were in the paint. That was the only way.
Well, like you said, the first 15 minutes of this game, this was UConn's game to lose.
Yes.
The Huskies kept Michigan out of transition. The Wolverines had 0 fast break points in the first half and only 1 opportunity to really get out and run. UConn controlled the tempo, holding its own against the backboards, winning the rebounding battle, and Michigan struggled. The Michigan Wolverines missed their first 10 3-point attempts. Imagine being in that position and still being in a position to come back and win the game, because in the second half, it was all Michigan. They wore down UConn with their size and their ability to withstand some of that pressure down in the paint. And, UConn's season-long issues with foul trouble really came into play. Players started fouling out. The Wolverines able to really dominate from the paint and the free throw line specifically, and had a combined 61 points from the paint and free throw line to just 34 for the Huskies in that second half. I mean, it's a tale of two halves, and it meant everything. And it's what I've said before. I've been watching this Michigan team. I don't know why, but like I said last week on the show, everywhere I would go, around town here in Hot Springs, going out to eat with the family, whatever, Michigan basketball would always be on TV. And it's a team that would always be behind. They would always start slow, fall behind early, and then roar back from behind. And it's not your traditional style of basketball. In fact, that would make most coaches cringe, but it's their identity that they could be down, but they were never out until the final whistle, until that scoreboard had the red lights on it at the end. It was a very impressive run, ending that 37-year title drought, becoming, this is true, the Big Ten's first men's championship since 2000. And of course, Dusty May ends his first season with the national championship. Instant program-defining credibility for that squad. And now Michigan sits at the center of what is a historic Big Ten moment, because the Big Ten Conference has now swept football, men's basketball, and women's basketball titles all in the same year. SEC this, SEC that. Big Ten has a word with you.
Man, and obviously showing up at the right time, and we've talked about that time and time again, but you're absolutely right. You can see the shift in the air, the dynamics of everything. And I'm gonna go out on a limb a little bit about this, but the portal, as you well know, has made this obviously the coach. I mean, look at the starting five for Michigan.
I mean, you can't shy away from that.
I hate to say it. You had some traditional players that were on UConn's team. You had one going for 3 championship, one player over there. And then, of course, and then you go to UCLA. Look what they did there with the portal. I hate to admit it, but these coaches, whether you like it or not, that's what they're shifting for, and that's what they're having to do, and they're making the best of it. And you hear them talk about it all the time. They don't like it, but it's the game now, and they've got to do it. So no matter what the rules are, they're making the best of it. And like you said, SEC better shape up or something's going to get shipped out. And it got to look into where there is a different shift in not only the dynamics of basketball, but now football.
I mean, it goes back full circle to what I talked about at the beginning of this segment. Elliot Cadeau said himself, quote, "The best team ever assembled."
Assembled. There you go.
Assembled.
Yep,
I mean, hey, there's no doubt about it. The numbers are there. They don't lie. Michigan spent a lot of money to buy this championship.
Yes.
They spent a lot of money, and it worked. And maybe that's the investment. I mean, that they went all in on this investment to try to bring credibility back to this program, because whenever you think about basketball, college basketball in Michigan, are the Wolverines the favorite, or is it typically the Spartans of Michigan State? So they've flipped the trajectory here and made this a real fun state to play round ball, right? Mm-hmm. But now, of course, a couple of guys are going to be going to the next level, most likely in the upcoming NBA draft. Cadeau, of course, likely to be a first-round candidate. And the big guy, Yaxel Landenberg, he wasn't amazing in the title game, but he didn't have to be. The team was well-rounded, built around him. He had some injury limitations, but he has the size, and I think he has the defensive instincts that NBA teams will be looking for. I expect Landenberg to be a first-round pick as well. It wasn't just Michigan, though. It was the women's national championship also going to the Big Ten. UCLA. UCLA.
Yes.
Over South Carolina, 79-50. 51. This wasn't just a win. This was total domination over a South Carolina squad that has been this sport's gold standard. And I'm talking about complete from the opening tip-off. UCLA took a 13-4 lead early, never trailed in this one. Their defense was elite. They held South Carolina to 29% shooting from the floor and won the paint battle 40-28. All 5 starters scored in double figures. And in the third quarter, UCLA iced the championship game, outscoring South Carolina 25-9. This was a wire-to-wire dismantling of a powerhouse.
Yeah, and and after what they did to UConn, I don't know, they just seemed like they were on a different level. And then UCLA struggled with Texas, okay? And it came down, now don't get me wrong, it was a very good Texas team, no doubt about it. But you saw the top tier of the teams in all conferences. And like we've talked about, either they were 1, 2, or 3 in the Final Four, and obviously UCLA big on their year, but South Carolina coming off a high of no other.
Yes.
And taking down an undefeated team
yes.
with the likes of UConn. But I'm going to tell you what, when it came down to it, it was something, like you said, they just dismantled them. And whether it was in the paint or how about that three-point shooting? That was unbelievable. But they just never seemed to get it rolling. It was almost like they were and then you saw them arguing with themselves on the court. Even the announcers made that, they made that obvious that they were having a little bit of unsettlement with plays that they were supposed to run. And coach would call them over there, take a timeout. They, in the first half, particularly, they ran out their timeouts before the second quarter was all up. And so they were struggling, and they were looking at ways to get back in the paint, which they were not going to. It didn't matter. But some really good ball playing, and tip my hat to the Final Four and to South Carolina, of course. But UCLA, man, and here's the kicker too. They're going to just reboot again next year. They're only losing 2 of their girls.
Yeah, and looks like two of their girls. UCLA wins its first NCAA women's title and first national championship of any kind since the AIAW era in 1978. It's also the first women's basketball title for the Big Ten since 1999. Corey Close is going to cement herself as one of these elite coaches in the sport, continuing a trend of, women coaches dominating in the championship landscape. Of course, hats off to Coach Dawn Staley as well. Mm-hmm. A great run there. South Carolina is always going to be back, and they're always going to be a formidable foe. But you got a couple of young ladies that are really going to make some waves on the next level in the WNBA, which continues to grow. Gabriela Jaquez, who had a 21-point, 10-rebound, 5-assist night, becoming just the 5th player ever to hit that line in a title game. And then Lauren Betts, the interior defender, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks, elite rim protection. She is going to be a star, a 6'7" center. She is likely going to be a top-tier draft pick in the upcoming WNBA draft, and I think that she is going to have a large fan following that follows her to the league.
And I'm actually being nice about this, but she was a beast down low. I mean,
fun to watch.
And you know what, too, though? She wasn't just pushing people around, though. Did you see some of those backwards layups and stuff that she was doing and off the board work with that little jump hook she had? That was impressive, I'm going to tell you. And then even now here's what I didn't understand in that. What they did to UConn, when she would get it on inside the paint, they would converge on her, right? And keep her from the dribble. Well, that 1 or 2 dribble that she would do before doing the little jump hook, that's what made her presence known. And they didn't do that in the title game. They stopped UConn from they would double down or triple down even. But then when they did that a couple of times, what did they do? They dished it out, and they were just, dumping those threes in. And it just happened to go their way. It is what it is sometimes because what they did for UConn, it didn't work for UCLA because they were, whether it was down low or outside, the rebounding. And they didn't have to get a lot of seconds because they were making the first one. And I think that had a lot to do with it too. But congratulations to them. It was exciting. Both games were pretty exciting. So.
And kind of an underdog victory for UCLA that really, I think, is going to I think it's going to bring more fans into the sport, because when you have that more parity in the league, and of course, for the historical piece as well, UCLA, of course, on the basketball side, I know on the men's side specifically, but UCLA being the powerhouse that it once was, seeing them rise back to greatness now on the women's side. I mean, just in my travels around town through the week, everybody comes up to me and talks sports, whether I'm out shopping or at a restaurant. Everybody wants to throw their sports take at me. And a lot of people talking about what the women have done and how big this is. It's really such a good thing for the sport to see that. I know, and you have your men's basketball fans out there as well talking about, what a fun matchup that was. But to see that equal level of respect given to the women, I think is really eye-opening. It's really promising for the league going forward.
Well, and we talked about that a little bit, what was 2 weeks ago or whatever, but I think you're absolutely right on this behalf of that. It opened it.
Yes.
And whether it was up at UConn or down in the SEC with LSU or South Carolina, or, somebody else is getting the limelight. And just like that, it's opened it up. And you're absolutely right. I think that now we're getting a little bit more. And now even that the WNBA is getting a couple more teams, I think it's, that's going to enlighten it too.
Expansion in the future there.
Because if you think about it, Mark, they got some great players, but there's only so many teams.
That's right. And it's not very many.
And they have to go to Europe or, somewhere else to play. And it's not fair. How's that?
I mean,
it's not.
In many ways, it's not fair.
It's not.
But the growth, I love seeing the investment in it. The growth is coming. It's long overdue. And I mean, we're even in the age where we can walk around town and see people in WNBA jerseys. And that's an era of basketball that I've never seen in my time here on this green earth. So
cool. So cool.
Yeah, congratulations to both Michigan and UCLA. It is now the off season in college basketball. It'll be back before you know it. And so will we. When we come back, the Arkansas Activities Association has some new news regarding conference realignments on the basketball side. We'll tell you more when we return. This is Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE.
Third quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE. With Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, the 2026-28 basketball conferences have been approved by the Arkansas Activity Association's Board of Directors, and we thought this would be a good opportunity to dive in to some of the changes. One of the biggest changes affecting local area schools is actually with Fountain Lake, who drops from Class 4A to Class 3A in basketball only. I know you football fans are out there like, wait, what? But the Cobras, who played in the 5-4A a year ago with the likes of Mills, Hall, Malvern, Eastham, and Bauxite, now drop down to the 5-3A, joining the likes of Jessieville, Glen Rose, Perryville, Maumelle Charter, Mayflower, Baptist Prep, and Atkins. This is a big deal when in 4A, some of the top competition, of course, is your Mills and your Halls out there. But now dropping down into 3A, this seemingly has a much more improved path for the Cobras, who now have a realistic chance to, of course, compete for conference title, but also making deeper postseason runs. Your thoughts?
Well, I know Coach Dett's licking his chops right now. There's no doubt about that. But they've been right on the verge. But like you said, between Mills and, the last 2-3 years, the ones that were in their conferences, the one that won state championships. So obviously, you and I have talked about this for years, not only in basketball, but football also, not so much baseball, because they cross over quite a bit in baseball. But in football, all these teams that are either going down or going up, but they've been on that verge for quite some time now. I mean, if you recall back in the day, they were totally in 3A, and then they got bumped up, and people ask, well, how does that happen and stuff like that? Well, you and I have been asking that question for a long time, and of course, it has to do with how many kids are
total enrollment numbers in the district.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many you got playing; it's total enrollment. And is that fair? Not necessarily. I mean,
because not every student is a student athlete,
right? I mean, you're looking at the likes in Greenwood. Take for instance, we talked about that earlier.
Sure,
they've won 5 state championships in football, and now they're dropping back I mean,
they're dropping down into 5A.
Into 5A.
Yes.
So,
whereas on the private school level, when you win, you get bumped up.
You go up automatically.
There's a lot of private schools in 7A now that were down in like 4 and 5A a couple years ago.
PA, for instance, which we'll be talking about a lot coming up here in just a little bit. But is that fair, Mark, one way or another? Because a lot of those ones that are in 3A are going, Fountain Lake's coming here? Really?
Yeah,
so,
that's to be seen.
That's something that everybody. Now, I'm going to throw one back at you. Is that the right thing today to do with AAA? I mean, with the total number of enrollment? I mean, it's just a question. It's food for thought, But I know there's a lot of conversation floating around.
That's a good question. Of course, I know that we're some of the biggest critics of the Arkansas Activities Association at times.
They rank right up there with referees.
But certainly dropping down. I mean, I remember when Fountain Lake was playing in 3A in football, and year after year hitting the semifinals or better. They moved up to 4A. Things got a little bit more difficult there. And when you look at those enrollment numbers, you look and see Fountain Lake. They are at the lower end of Class 4A. Classification, which allows for something like this to happen. I was surprised to see it happen only on the basketball side and not on the football side because
we've looked at that too,
whether it's basketball or football, it's still based on that same student enrollment number there. So I don't know if that's a sign of potential things to come for the future for Fountain Lake, but that's still to come. But
it works both ways, doesn't it? On the low end and on the high.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, you can either accidentally get pushed up like we think of Arkadelphia.
Yes, sure.
I mean, how many kids? There's only one high school in Arkadelphia, and there's 10,000 people, and that's not including the college count. We'll save that for another day.
Well, another big move that we should talk about as well is happening down on the 2A side, where Mountain Pine and Cutter Morning Star are actually going to stay in the 7-2A conference, but it's a new look for the 7-2A conference because everyone else is out and a whole lot of new people coming in. Magnet Cove, England, Washita, Poen, Risen, and Woodlawn join the Eagles and Red Devils in the 7-2A, and out are last year's group of your Foreman, Dirks, Spring Hill, Caddo Hills, Murfreesboro, and Horatio. Some of these schools, Washita one specifically, they're basketball only, right? They've got baseball too, but they don't have football, right? So instead of football season where most student athletes play football and then they go down into basketball, they're already starting basketball season early in the season and being prepared. So I look at this conference now as maybe a much more challenging path for Cutter and Mountain Pine to making that regional tournament, making deep postseason runs. Tougher, not impossible, but I think they've got their work cut out for them with some heavy hitters coming in. Yeah,
and once again, it's all about alignment, Mark, but it doesn't make sense. You and I talked about that for years now. For instance, Benton, they're playing all over the state now. El Dorado, all the way over to West Memphis and such. But now you're talking Woodlawn. And I mean, the traveling there for a 2A school, and sometimes it's
not all highway, right?
That's what exactly. You just took my thunder.
It's not all highway and interstate.
It's that back roads and then traveling late at night. Does the AAA even take that into the conversation when they're doing this?
Well, once again, if you look at the comments underneath the official announcement post, they are largely negative and also involving other conferences that we haven't talked about. Some conference play for basketball literally has 3 hours each way.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's what I was just talking about right in Woodlawn. I'm thinking about that, Woodlawn Cove. But once again, the alignment, is it for justification as far as enrollment? Or is it just to make the conference different? Or did they just want to, I don't know, mix things up a little bit?
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I would love to see more regionally when it comes to post. I know that they have the bracket built out ahead of time, mainly talking about football because in basketball, it's a little bit better. But on the football side, it's really the wild, wild west where you could have Ashdown going Pocahontas, for example. And that's just how the bracket was drawn out. But I think on the football side, I would love to see an era where you win out of maybe quadrant, and maybe that's how we start to where teams are, whatever. I think that I mean, it would certainly cut down on travel costs because not everybody has the travel budget. You're talking about late games. I mean, Fountain Lake and the spread offense goes to 10 o'clock at night, right? Just on the football side.
Easily.
What if they have to drive 3 hours home? It's just student athlete safety. I think there's a lot of things that could be improved there. I know it's kind of getting off track because now I'm talking instead of basketball, but I think that there's still some meaningful moves that they could be true that could benefit everybody.
And Mark, you got to take this in consideration. We're talking basketball, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the time, you can play the same team twice.
Oh, it's very common.
Okay, very common, right?
Yes.
I'll say, so let's take Woodlawn and Mountain Pine.
Sure.
Are you kidding me? It's below Pine Bluff, around that area.
Yeah.
And you're going to be traveling at night?
Yeah.
Not very many deer run during that inning.
I don't think any. Do deer even exist, or are they just in storybooks?
Goodness gracious! So, and I've been trying to be a little bit funny, but in candor about it. But I'm just telling you right now, we've been up against this for too many years, and why they can't just if you look at over the whole. All of them together. Look how many teams are in 2 and 3, 4, 5.
Significantly more.
Exactly.
And even in 1A.
Exactly.
On the basketball
side. And they
side.
can't pull them all in one little area? Come on. Come on.
So one other piece to throw together. I know you had mentioned Benton. The 5A South is actually remains largely unchanged with your Hot Springs, Lake Hamilton, Lakeside, and Benton all still stuck in the same conference competing against one another. So in terms of the travel there, at least in the 5A version of this, it does look a little bit more friendly there. But what I will say on the other side of the coin there, when you have all 4 of those squads who in recent years have been pretty top tier when it comes on the basketball court, they're all going to be knocking each other down, and your odds of getting multiple champions coming out of the area, I mean, they kind of beat each other up throughout
the
season.
SEC football.
That's right.
Anyway,
but it will keep them battle tested, to say the least.
We'll talk more. It's crazy.
One other piece of news coming in from the Arkansas High School Golf State Tournament with the AAA is that the bids were approved at a board meeting last month in Hot Springs, and we can now announce some of this, the host sites for the state tournaments coming up later in the year. On the boys' side, the 3A state tournament will be held at Diamante Country Club October 7th. Fountain Lake High School will host that. In 2A, Magnet Cove will host at Diamond Head Golf Club on October 6th. And on the girls' side, Bryant High School will be at Hurricane Country Club late September, and Magnet Cove also hosting the 2A girls at Diamond Head Golf Club as well, September 29th. So always great to see some of our local area golf courses getting in on the action and securing some of those bids. Beautiful golf courses that will now be the host of championship level events.
No doubt about it, man. I can't wait because, man, it's right around the corner. And like you said, we've had some championship teams from around here. And it gives you and I a chance to get out and see them too, though. So it's a plus.
More of our local roundup right around the corner. Stick with us. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition continues in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
It's time for our local roundup here on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. We kick things off this week by congratulating NPC freshman designated player Brooke LaBeouf of Nighthawks softball being named NJCAA Region 2 Player of the Week. During Week 9 of reporting, LaBeouf led the Nighthawks in a 2-2 series split with ASU Newport. And across that 4-game stretch, LaBeouf batted .643 at the plate with 9 hits, including 5 extra base hits with 10 RBI and 3 runs scored. LaBeouf batting .341 for the Nighthawks this year, 31 hits, 18 runs scored, 21 driven in, also has 13 swiped bags and 8 walks. National Park College Nighthawks softball currently atop the Region 2 Eastern Division in NJCAA play and will be against the Arkansas State University Three Rivers team coming up later today on the road in Malvern.
Good stuff there, no doubt about it. Hey, this last week, Louis Sella, president of Oaklawn, of course, quadruple, family owning Oaklawn since 1925, and Hall of Fame trainer Dwayne Lucas were recognized this weekend for the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. And so, well-to-do there, no doubt. Lucas used to be a coach.
Legendary.
I was a coach prior to this. And matter of fact, everybody called him coach back in the day. But two honored this last week. And matter of fact, I've got a picture of me and Lewis in my box on Derby Day. And he always tops at my box on there. We congratulate whoever won the big race of that day. And so I yesterday, matter of fact. And so big congratulations on to both of them. Well deserved, no doubt.
Long overdue.
No doubt.
Well.
I mean, think about that. Since his taking over his dad's position, of course, Lewis has been a part of this growing up there. And then you cannot say enough about Dwayne. He's the initiator of having stables in 3 different tracks at one time. He did the nationwide racing, which was now everybody's trying to, of course, emulate what he's done through the years. And he started off so many different trainers working under him first that are now winning the big races. You could say the modern day, Thoroughbred Digest is mentored after Dwayne coach. So congratulations.
Talked a lot about Fountain Lake in the previous segment. We've got more Cobra news for you. Congratulations to Fountain Lake Junior High Boys Track. They won the meet championship Tuesday at Dardanelle with a 109.5 point finish there, and some all-state and all-conference honorees to bring your way for Cobra basketball. Trayton Gray, all-conference. Landon Clem was named to the all-state tournament team. Dylan Detmering, a name that you're going to hear a lot. The 4A, 5A Player of the Year, also all-state honors. Cooper Buss and Peyton Harwood also receiving all-conference honors. What a big shout-out for this basketball team. Great season this year.
You know what? Not only great athletes, but also and everyone that you mentioned, also on the honor rolls and such, and just not only out on the field or the court, but they're always mentoring in the school itself. They're part of the community, and they're exactly what we want to be the fabric of society. No doubt, some good kids can't wait to call their names down the road. Be loving it this fall, no doubt.
Hey, congratulations to Caddo Hills Basketball, who bring in a couple of new head coaches. Timothy Webb of National Park College Nighthawk fame, one of the assistants on the national championship team, now going to be the head men's basketball coach. A 1998 Caddo Hills grad, a former team captain. He bleeds Caddo Hills Indians blue, and that's going to be really exciting there for him to lead the way for the boys program. And Raymond Thrush comes in leading the girls program, strong background in teaching and leadership. He spent the past 6 years teaching math and coaching at Jacksonville High School, and those squads are in for a treat. They're getting some very talented young men there at the helm of those programs.
And sort of some sad news, but some good news at the same rate. Over at Cutter football, we got a little bit of shift in the air. We don't know exactly as far as their new coach, but we do know Finney, making a big step up, isn't he?
Hey, Nick Finley has come in and done great things for that program over at Cutter Morning Star, really turned him into a contender, and now he's going to go to a contender here as the assistant coach for Bruins football at Pulaski Academy, who also this week, Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly's the guy that you're looking for there as the head coach. So change of leadership there at PA, but certainly a program that's been dominant in recent years. Congrats to Nick Finley on the opportunity, and go Bruins. Hope they do well in the years ahead.
If you think about that, think about stepping up from 3 to what the Bruins are doing now. But if you think
all the way at the top,
but look at what he's done for the quarterback and for the offense.
He's very good at developing QBs.
He knows what he's doing, and then you got the likes of a head coach that's defensively minded.
Yep.
Man, watch out for the Bruins. There's no doubt about it. That's something special, and I can't wait to see what they do over there. Of course, they're going to be running a gun and running shooting, so it's pretty cool. And also, a big congratulations, no doubt about what a feat that you've accomplished in your young years of doing this and logged so many miles and called so many games, but unbelievable. And it seems like a lot, but 500, but I can't wait till you do your 1,000, because I know it's coming up and it'll be here before you know it, buddy.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Of course, number 500 was for a Nighthawk softball game, and the team really put in a lot of effort to make it special for me. Of course, if you guys saw the newspaper article, that banner them holding building is signed by the entire Nighthawks softball team. They even signed a softball for me as well. And I've just had so many people come by my office or on Facebook or text me or call me congratulating me. I don't know how to handle all the spotlight, honestly. As the newspaper article says, believe it or not, I am quite the introvert when it comes down to it. So, but I appreciate all of the support and positivity. And I just love what I do. I love what I do. I get to wake up every day and go do something fun, something that I love. I hope my kids can do that one day. But I'm very fortunate to be put in that position, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, congratulate.
That's our show, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. right here on 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. We'll see you next week.
Game over.